We're capable of. Stop! Stop!
Fucking touch me!
It's okay. It's me. It's me. It's me. Look. It's me.
He tried to...
Oh, baby girl. It's okay. It's okay.
Oh.
It's okay.
The scene I just showed you is one of the greatest moments in The Last of Us. On top of the great gameplay, on top of the great cinematics, it is the characters that made us really fall in love with the game. It is the interaction between Joel and Ellie that made us grow feelings for the two of them and love them so much. And in turn, it made us love the game even more. We are just a few weeks away from the official release date of The Last of Us 2. And I'd like to say, in my opinion, no other game has touched so many people like The Last of Us. Personally, it is my favorite game, and it made me feel a huge variety of emotions while I was playing it. The Last of Us 2, on the other hand, is a whole different story. And let's talk about it, if it's really worth buying. We are going to cover in this video all the latest news about The Last of Us, including the leaked gameplay footage and plot. And we are going to explore both sides, the pros and the cons, of The Last of Us 2, using all the information we have as of today. If you don't want to hear any leaks, then don't continue. Just leave a like so other people who do want this content can see. So, without further ado, let's jump into the gameplay. Right off the bat, a big difference between the original Last of Us and The Last of Us Part 2 is the playable character. In the original Last of Us, Ellie was just a computer-controlled sidekick, whose job was to aid you in combat while you did your part in protecting her. This time, in The Last of Us Part 2, we now know that Ellie would be the primary playable character. And in the game, it's been 5 years since the original outbreak happened, so Ellie has matured and she has learned a lot of things when it comes to surviving, thriving, and combat. Based on the trailer, we can tell that she now knows how to fight and how to kill. And her fighting style has a big effect on the gameplay and on the experience we would have in playing The Last of Us.
Don't make a fucking sound. Hands up.
When you play as Ellie, who is more agile than Joel, you play a character who is both nimble and robust. She can dodge and parry attacks really well like no other character in the game. And she can also take a punch and take some hits and still survive. And she's very capable of killing her enemies. If this is the type of character you want to play, then I guess The Last of Us gameplay would suit you really well. Knowing Naughty Dog, they had to spice things up by adding new challenges and new characters to the game. Some of the new challenges they added are the new types of infected that are present in The Last of Us 2. There used to be only 4 types of infected in the original game, which are the runners, the stalkers, the clickers, and the tank-type bloaters. These are the old infected. From the gameplay trailers that have been released, we now know that there would be a new tank-type infected in The Last of Us 2. And there's also a new infected who has claws that can rip a human in two. Another new challenge in The Last of Us 2 are the guard dogs. Even if you're in hiding, even if you're in a bush or in tall grass, you're never really safe and you're never really hidden, because these watchdogs can sniff you from a mile away and they're gonna go to you. And usually these dogs, they have their owners with them who are armed and who are ready to kill you. But in contrast with these challenges, there are also new companions that would help you throughout the game and help you accomplish objectives and fulfill your goal in the game. cool thing about The Last of Us 2 is the highly detailed and highly interactable universe that the game designers and the game developers have developed for you. Interacting with the environment can help you get past your enemies, set them up for a trap, or you can use it to your advantage to beat them. And it's important to note that the choices you make inside the game will affect your experience, meaning that different people would have different experiences inside the game depending on the choices they make. These are all good and positive points about the gameplay. If you're all about the gameplay, then this is the game for you. But if you care about the story and the way the plot develops and the way the story goes, like most people do, then let's talk about it. In the first edition of The Last of Us, it was Joel and Ellie centric. Joel and Ellie was the main focus of the game as they traversed through the universe of The Last of Us and as they faced numerous challenges and life and death situations. And as they faced these challenges, they've developed a certain bond between one another. And they developed a certain love. And we, as the players, we saw it and we felt it ourselves, which made us love them so much. Joel being the fatherly figure and Ellie being the daughter figure. In my opinion, Ellie is the Sarah incarnate. Sarah was the daughter of Joel who had died earlier in the game because someone shot her. Now, in contrast with The Last of Us 2, Neil Druckmann has confirmed that hate, and I repeat, hate will play a key role in the new game, not the love that we felt in the first game, not the love that we saw between Joel and Ellie. And it is clear that through the gameplay trailers that Ellie really does feel so much hate and so much anger towards someone we don't know, towards what we don't know. But this is the driving force that makes Ellie seek vengeance and retribution. When I say we don't know, this means that it wasn't confirmed by anyone from Naughty Dog or from Sony. But this is when the leaks come in. Allegedly, a disgruntled employee from Sony leaked focal points of the gameplay. He leaked footages, cutscenes, and major points in the plot of the story. So now I know where the story is going to. And to Sony's defense, they said that they didn't have any disgruntled employees. In fact, the leaker of the game wasn't a disgruntled employee. Instead, he was someone who hacked Sony and propagated the leaked material that wasn't supposed to go out. Now, in this leaked material, Joel dies. Let me hit it with you. Joel dies. Yes, you heard me right. Joel dies. Isn't that insane? You played the first edition, a whole game's worth of playtime playing as Joel. You fell in love with the character. And he just goes away. And I know that, a good story, there's always an element of surprise. But killing a character that you've developed a love for. I mean, you love Joel and Ellie. They're the center of The Last of Us. They're the two main characters. They're the ones who uplifted and made The Last of Us famous. They're the reason why we love The Last of Us. And he's just gonna die. And here's the real kicker.
Isaac talks to us about this.
Joel dies. And the game forces you to kill Joel. And in a really brutal way. By some character that we don't even know. Who was just introduced in this edition of the game. The character I'm talking about goes with the name Abby. Now, Abby is one of the daughters of the doctors Joel killed in the hospital when Ellie was on the operating bed. This was back in the original edition of the game when Joel wreaked havoc in the hospital and killed each and every single person in the hospital just to save Ellie. Now, she's a trans daughter of one of the doctors in the hospital. This trans daughter is seeking vengeance too. But she kills our favorite character, one of our favorite characters, and the game forces you to play as her. And not only that, that's not the only time that you would play as her. In the leaks, you would play as Abby for the second half of the game. So half of the game you play as Ellie and the other half you play as Abby. This may be the reason why we see Ellie in the gameplay trailers and in the gameplay that we have so far. This may be the reason why she's full of hate and anger, seeking vengeance and retribution, because she's trying to avenge Joel's death. For Ellie's character build-up in the second edition of the game, I think it is essential that Joel died, but please give some respect to our favorite character in the game. Joel was brutally murdered by Abby, a character we don't even know, and we haven't even developed a love for. We haven't even stepped into her shoes and seen the world in her perspective. And our favorite character, whom we developed love for, was killed brutally with a golf club by a character we don't know. A lot of people say that the botched gameplay is a result of identity politics, but that's a different topic for a different day. Comment down below if you think it is a result of identity politics or if it's not. Okay, so moving on. If Joel's death wasn't enough, based on the leaks, halfway through the game lets you see Joel and Ellie as the villains of the game, and you play as Abby. And the game forces you to feel bad about Abby and hate the original characters we've fallen in love for, that you've fallen in love for. And in the end, you beat Ellie to the death. And the game forces you to play as Abby and beat the character you love. A character whom we've spent a whole game caring for and protecting is demonized and killed. Along with the heart of the franchise, the main character, Joel, the character we love the most, the character we played as in the original edition of the game. Now, what is Naughty Dog's response to all this? In an interview with Troy Baker, the voice actor of Joel, he says that fans have to be open-minded. I wonder what that means. Why does he have to tell his fans to be open-minded, or The Last of Us fans to be open-minded? I think he knows something about the gameplay, about the game, that may disappoint us, the players, the fans of The Last of Us. And intriguingly, Troy Baker also recently revealed at a Manchester Comic Con panel, he said that he doesn't think that Joel believes he's a hero. If he has to lean anywhere, he would think that Joel would consider himself a villain. I wonder why he would say that, huh? Now, to Naughty Dog's defense, Naughty Dog almost always provides us with a great story and a great game. We've had the Uncharted series, and we've had the original Last of Us. These are really great games that many people have played, and many people have enjoyed and would never forget. And who knows, all the leaks, the leaked gameplay, leaked footage, and the plot to the game, these all might just be one big huge marketing tactic. And I really hope it is, and if it is, it's not that effective. And as mentioned by the game director, and like what I said earlier, the choices you make affects the way you play The Last of Us 2. Maybe it's in your hands to stop the death of the characters you love. Just maybe. Whatever happens, whatever the game may turn out to be, I'm just extremely thankful and grateful that Naughty Dog has given and produced a game as magnificent as The Last of Us, as heart-touching as The Last of Us, and it really affected the way I saw games. Whether the leaks turn out to be true, and maybe most people wouldn't enjoy the story behind The Last of Us 2, given that the leaks are true, no one really is to blame. Because as a patron of the arts, The Last of Us, a video game, is a piece of art. And not all great artworks are supposed to make you feel positive emotions. Some artworks elicit the feeling of sorrow and damnation. It really depends on the artist, on the message he wants to convey to his patrons. To answer the question if I would be buying this video game, no, I will not be buying the game. I really think that The Last of Us didn't need a sequel to it. It was better off as it is, a true great masterpiece. Assuming that the leaks do turn out to be true, this may not be the ending that we wanted. We may not have wanted things to go down like this, but looking at it in a practical perspective, what can we do? That was Naughty Dog's choice, and maybe, just maybe, if you didn't enjoy the ending, this might be your call to action. If you're interested in making games, or anything in that field, related to that field, let your voice be heard. This is your time. Develop a game that trumps The Last of Us, and give it a meaningful and justified ending that all true fans would love and the haters would hate. And I would be supporting you 100%. Smash that like button and click subscribe. We're going to be making more videos like this. And thank you so much for listening and tuning into this wonderful conversation. Six Pack signing out.
You don't understand.
I struggled for a long time with surviving. And no matter what, you keep finding something to fight for.